Hello, and welcome to today's trending contract, the Casual Garden Party, set in Whittleton Creek and supplied to us today by EMZ Hitgal. So on to our briefing. James Batty is jealous of the Wilsons' party, but he is pathetic. Make him and his friends pay. So on to our targets, and today we have 5 of them and a free map. So for today's challenge, we'll be starting at the default location, and we're going to be bringing with us a proximity micro taser and a micro remote explosive. So right from the start and off the bat, we need to get to the house for sale, which is the last house at the end of the street on the right, and we're just going to run straight down the main road here. Now all of our targets are currently just off to our left, and the reason we are heading off to the right, if you haven't already guessed, is that in the kitchen of the house for sale we will find a propane cylinder. So we're just going to grab the keys from the plant pot on the right, let ourselves in, head straight into the kitchen and grab the propane cylinder from near the garage door, and then we're going to head straight back outside. And just outside you can see a yellow convertible, and we are going to throw the propane cylinder onto the bonnet of the convertible there. There we go, that's pretty good. And our first target is making their way over here as we speak, and they are one of the undercover garbage men who frequents Mr. Batty's garden. But when he's not in the garden, he leans against the convertible. So all we have to do is hide ourselves in the house for sale, line up our shot and detonate the propane cylinder, and our first target has been dispatched. So we're going to make our way out of the rear of the property and over the garden fence into the Hanson's property, which is the house with the boat outside the front. And in the rear garden we will find a barbecue with another propane cylinder, and we're going to take this propane cylinder and we're going to head back out into the street, and we're now going to take on our next target, who is the exterminator. Now unfortunately everybody is in panic mode at the moment, so we can at the very least get ourselves set up, but we will have to wait for everyone to go back to their usual routines. And of course there are a number of broken NPCs around at the moment. Luckily enough, they will all go back to their usual routines at some point. So we're just going to quickly put a bullet in the propane cylinder there, and everybody will now begin going back to their routine. And when the exterminator arrives, he will stand by his van ready to make a phone call, and we can then detonate the propane cylinder and eliminate our second target. So we're just going to quickly hop over the fence into Mr. Batty's garden. Mr. Batty is currently wandering around, so we're going to give him a nice wide berth, and we're going to head around to the far side of the house, where we will find a hose pipe attached to a tap and some electrical systems. So we're going to quickly overflow the tap there. We're going to pull out our silenced pistol and destroy the pathway light, which will enable the water puddle that is forming to be electrified. And we're going to have to wait behind the shed here, as Mr. Batty is currently facing the direction we wish to travel in, and we are currently trespassing, as is a pirate's wont. So once Mr. Batty finally gets up and heads over to his property, we can then make our way next door to Nolan Cassidy's property, and more specifically the wilderness in the rear of the property there. And our next target is the guard just over by this area, who is about to be distracted by the gardener, except we have distracted the gardener somehow instead, and he's going to come over and finger us. And that is a British term for being grassed up to the law. So we're just going to quickly approach the ride-on lawnmower, drop our remote explosive, and then head back through the wilderness to Mr. Batty's garden, just in time to see him get electrocuted. And that is 3 targets down. So we're just going to hop back into the wilderness. As you can see, the gardener is following me everywhere I go. Luckily, we have managed to get him to lose interest eventually. Now, unfortunately, that means that he has not begun his conversation with the guard, which means we now have to wait for that to play out, and the guard to then go and stand by the ride-on lawnmower, at which point we can then detonate our explosive, and that will get rid of him, again causing some panic. So we're going to hop over the fence into Nolan Cassidy's garden, and our final target is approaching. Now normally I just run up behind him and stick him with some sort of sharp object or put 2 bullets in his back, but we do have a new weapon, the proximity micro taser. So we're going to turn on the tap on the pathway here, which will create a nice big puddle. We're going to drop the proximity taser on the path and quickly move away before we activate it. And then we're just going to wait in the bushes for our target to continue on his patrol. Now, for some reason, he almost spots a completely still person entirely hidden in the bushes, but not quite enough to do anything about it. Just slows him down a bit, but eventually he will lose interest, go back to his routine, and instantly regret his decision. He should have investigated the bush a little bit more thoroughly. So all 5 targets now taken care of. All that's left for us to do now is to make good our escape. So we're going to hop back over the fence, try and avoid all of the enforcers who are just returning from their panic. In fact, there are quite a few, more than I was expecting, but we managed to avoid them and get to the bridge exit. So there we go, one more trending contract taken care of, and we'll get confirmation all of our targets have been eliminated according to plan, and in turn that will gain us a silent assassin rating. I have been Anubis, and I will see you all in the next video.